So, it's been a while. To start off, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's watched my stuff and supported me so far, especially on that black hair video. I always think about this, but I genuinely did not expect to have that type of support or response. Especially a big shout out to Think Peace Tribe for low-key putting me on the map with this stuff. I know I said this before, but I'm very grateful for you sharing that video out. It really did a huge help. I put this phrase in a lot of my videos, but I want to say that I truly appreciate all of you. A decent amount of stuff has changed in the past few months, like getting a new mic, a new machine to edit videos on, so no more blue screens, hopefully, and a newfound vision for what I want this whole thing to be. And I'm forever grateful for those willing to see this journey through. There may be some changes, description edits, thumbnail aesthetics, maybe a channel color change in the future. I don't know. But just know that something's cooking. I'll tell you that much. This special, if you want to call it, mainly consists of the Q&A I did for 1,000 subscribers. And I'm currently at 6. I'm sorry, man. I'm a student first. It is what it is. I just finished finals not too long ago, like 2 days ago when I initially recorded this. So while I still have the time, I'll finally be going over those questions, as well as making a few statements and announcements on the future of this channel and stuff like that. So please stay tuned if you're interested. With all that being said, let's get into these questions. Also, this video might be a little more chaotic, and for that, I'm not sorry. Okay, first question. Did you know stress backwards is desserts? So when stressed, treat yourself to a sweet Hicks fact. Oh my god. No. Okay, for context, this is my good friend Hicks. He's a YouTuber, he's a streamer, he's an actor. Like, this guy's done a lot to get to where he is now, and also incredibly nice as well. We gotta work on something together, bro. Seriously, love you, bro. Okay, next question is, watching anything good right now? Honestly, no. Because of school and stuff, I didn't really have the time to watch anything. I was so busy studying. So during my break, I have a whole backlog of shows to try my best to get caught up with. I will say that about at the top of my priority list is Insecure by Issa Rae and the anime Yu Yu Hakusho, because come on, man, these fits are too clean. Okay, but seriously, people kept telling me to finish it, so yeah, that's what I plan to do. What's your favorite part of making videos? Clicking the export button. Just being able to have all that work being processed, not having to do anything else besides dragging it onto YouTube Studio and waiting for the HD version to process. That's probably one of the best feelings in the world, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I know that's a cheap shot. Honestly, I think my most favorite part of making videos would likely be editing, because I've just been doing it for so long. It's also my most hated part of making videos, so it's a double-edged sword essentially. Which country has the best jollof? You already know the answer. You already know the answer, bruh. I don't know why you're asking. Who made it to the World Cup this past year? It wasn't green and white, I'll tell you that much. Okay, this is an insider, but bro, I still have that video of you admitting it on the last day of school, bruh. Okay, now for the YouTube community tab questions. Bruno asks, why did you start making content? Well, that's a bit of a loaded answer, honestly. I've made videos before, but for this channel in particular, around the time I decided to create this channel, I came to a recent realization that you really have to stop sitting on things all the time, in a sense, because I had thought about this sort of type of channel for a while now, but it had always just been in my head, essentially. And around the end of last year, December in particular, it suddenly hit that, yo, you gotta put something out, essentially, because you might as well while you're still here. if that makes any sense. So yeah, I decided to make this channel to express a lot of the thoughts I had that I couldn't really go into with friends and stuff. Not that they wouldn't support, but that I didn't want to write any essays in any group chats or anything like that. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. SSD for 31, I think, if that's how you pronounce it. They asked, what's your favorite animation style? Honestly, and I've thought about this for a while, but I'd honestly had to go for 2D. 2D is sort of the basest, at least in my eyes, on animation, to a point where productions like Arcane and Into the Spider-Verse and The Mitchells versus the Machines, I think that's how you pronounce it. Pretty much all of those films use some form of 2D to their advantage, in the sense that they're using all these effects to sort of emulate that sort of 2D, whilst also taking advantages of the versatility that 3D animation has. Like, I remember a series that Riot Games did on Arcane on their YouTube channel, I believe, and when a crew member was asked about how they got the painterly style with the 3D characters, they just said that they painted. And I think it says a lot about just how much of this newer, more expressive style of 3D animation all really comes back to the fundamentals of 2D, in a sense, where that sense of illusion is pretty universal. I actually just watched Kill Bill Volume 1 for the first time like an hour ago while I was recording this, and while I won't go into spoilers, there's a few minutes of just like phenomenal action animation, and it really reminded me of just the full range of expression when really putting your imagination to the test. But yeah, I'd say it's 2D animation. The Lingering Artist asks, do you ever think you'll make collabs with other Black creators as well, such as Veritas Joe, Harriana Hook, etc.? Also, favorite color and favorite video game of all time? Well, you asked 3 questions, but yeah, I'll try to answer them all. The first answer would have to be, honestly, I don't know. Personally, I'm not opposed to collabs. I just haven't come across anybody who's been willing to collab with me yet, but I'd definitely be down with collabing with more Black creators. Joe in particular would be pretty cool because I've actually been watching him for a really long time, so it'd kind of be a full circle moment in a sense. But yeah, I'd definitely be down with collabing with more Black creators in the future, and not even necessarily those in this sort of video essay space. Second answer would probably be Black, because it just goes well with everything. If that sounds too boring, then honestly, I've been into brown a lot more lately. I don't know, it was just a swaggy color to me. And for the third question, this kind of pains me to say, but I don't really play video games like that. I really want to though, because I know that gaming is sort of the biggest amalgamation of art forms yet, because you have such an involvement with everything. So like artists, coding, music production, all of that creating an immersive experience given to the consumer. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. It's just that I don't know how to get into games like that, I'm not gonna lie. But from the games that I have played, if I had to choose a favorite, it'd probably be Breath of the Wild. Purple Yams 4407 asks, what is your all-time favorite piece of media? Video game, TV show, movie, etc.? This is such a hard question. This might sound like a wild card, but honestly, it might have to be the Ben 10 franchise, I'm not gonna lie. Despite all the cap that the franchise has brought on despite all the cap that has been brought upon the franchise and many different retcons and many different character changes and such, it's very sentimental to me. However, this is very much going to change within the next few weeks, I'm not gonna lie, because it flip-flops a lot between different properties, so yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Views and Race asks, who are my favorite Black creators on YouTube? And that's also a very loaded answer. The annoying thing with this is that I have a bunch of favorite creators in just about every genre on YouTube, but if I had to choose a general all-arounder, it had to be RDC World. I briefly mentioned this in my Flowerboy video, but their unwavering sense of authenticity is honestly unparalleled from most creators on this platform, and personally social media in general. And the amount of passion that exudes from each one of their projects is very inspiring. I'm a big fan and appreciator of passion personally, so just seeing their beginnings to humble come up and seeing where they are now, it just it gets me, you know what I mean? And as for individuals, because I do understand that choosing RDC may be a bit of a cheap shot, I definitely had to choose Nathan Zed. I want to say I found out about him in summer of 2020, and so after going back to his catalog and seeing just how long he's been in the game, I think I can confidently say that his content is essentially the pinnacle of entertainment and wisdom. I actually remember in his #1 video where he talked about how it would be cool if he inspired other people to start doing YouTube, like how he was inspired by YouTubers like the Vlog Brothers and stuff like that. And so to see myself doing this now, I mean, it's not like a job or anything at the moment, but I love his approach to sharing knowledge and wisdom over time as he was going through all of these things. And so it's very resonating. I definitely believe he's one of my biggest inspirations. Name's Not Reg 4964, sorry if I mispronounced that, asks, who do you take the biggest information who do you take the biggest inspiration from in making content? Okay, so I'm gonna assume that by this question you mean sort of presentation, like editing and stuff like that. In a future video I do plan to go over my full workflow for making videos, but for now I'll essentially give you the cliff notes on where I draw my inspirations from when making videos. For script writing I would say Nathan Zed. For aesthetics I would say Adult Swim for obvious reasons, as well as D'Angelo Wallace in terms of consistency. For editing I want to say Veritas Joe 2019 era as well as PG. For music choice is usually just whatever I get really into at the moment, so usually it's tracks from Knowledge, some 90s boom bap R&B here and there, maybe some Sonic soundtracks here and there. And as for thumbnails, I genuinely do not know because I've been doing them for so long. I legitimately do not have like an immediate reference to put up. If I do find one, then I'll put it up on screen. Also, this is just something to keep in mind for anybody who's willing to or thinking about starting a YouTube channel. All the people that I listed were, like I said, inspiration. I'd like to say that I try and add my own spin towards all these aesthetics and things. So like for example, the whole Adult Swim aesthetic. The typical connotation you get with Adult Swim items are rigid, very blunt, edgy to an extent because, you know, made for adult and stuff. So then basically what I'll do is that I'll use that aspect, but then I would also contrast that with using more easy easing, as well as fading in and out of clips whenever necessary. The point that I'm trying to make is whether it's intuitively or whether you have to think about it for a little while, always make sure to add your own spin whenever creating any sort of art. It may take a while, especially depending on the medium in question, but that's how everybody finds their style at the end of the day. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Bro Metro asks, how do you do your thumbnails? I think they look really cool. Thank you. One thing I'll say right now is that they take a lot of experience. I actually started making thumbnails when I was like 12, 13, in middle school essentially, and I did them on a Kindle. I started on the Fire HD8 to be specific. Now I want you to imagine trying to make YouTube quality thumbnails using 16 gigabytes of storage and 1 gigabyte of RAM. Yeah, ah goodness, it was a struggle, I'm not gonna lie. But as a quick guide, essentially, I do recommend this stream by Afro Senju on sort of the mentality towards making thumbnails in a way. The video is pretty long, but I do think it's pretty informative. The Shining Beard asks, do you prefer your sandwiches cut in half or in triangle position? I would say triangles, but that's really due to the less hassle that you have to deal with the crust. For me personally, I like to eat the crust before getting into the actual sandwich, just to get it out the way essentially. And personally, I think triangles are a more optimal and efficient way to get rid of the crust faster. Squares seem to be the more ideal form factor until you have to turn 3 times to get rid of the crust, and nah, I'm not trying to do all that. The Shining Beard also asks, how big is your nose? I don't have a nose. Doxis Nike 4789, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. They ask, what led you to start making videos? For me, I guess generally, I'm very passionate about a lot of topics and such, a lot of media, and within all the groups I were in and all the friendships I've had, not many are willing to read a whole essay in the group chat talking about something like how Blaze is the best Sonic side character, Twitter, or how OK Kyo was one of the most underrated cartoons or anything like that. So, and this is no shade to any of my friends watching, by the way. I get it, but just wanting an outlet to spill those thoughts out, as well as seeing a lot of other people on YouTube do that, it was sort of like the perfect match for me. So YouTube just seemed like the perfect platform to empty those thoughts into something I enjoy. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question. And the last question, Tato1492, again, apologies for any mispronunciations. They ask, what are some of your favorite animated shows? I'd say 100% OKKO was on that list. Honestly, let me not go on a whole tangent about this, but OKKO was one of the most underrated cartoons, like, ever. And honestly, it deserved to be in the GO conversation. Very controversial, I know, but it had to be said. It had to be done. The Owl House is up there as well. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, definitely one of my favorites in recent memory. Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, definitely Michiko the Hatchin. I honestly haven't watched as much animation this year, so I'm kind of drawing blanks on what would usually be a pretty quick answer, but at least right now, those are at the top of my list right now. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Okay, so for this part, I wanted to make a few statements about being transparent with everybody about the channel and what it is essentially, since most of my audience came within the past few months. This is mainly to set the record straight so there's no confusion on where the channel is and what it's supposed to be and stuff like that. You got that? Alright, let's get into it. Number one, I'm not and will not be a commentary channel. I remember a friend of mine giving an idea about some quick video topic to speak about, and while I expressed my hesitance with them about it, I quickly realized that a decent amount of you might actually expect commentary type videos in the future, and to that, I'm simply not interested. No shade to anybody that's in the commentary game, but for me personally, I'm just not a fan of the idea of having to keep up with social media all the time just to bring about any sort of topic to make a video about, in the sense that the reliance of my content is based upon whatever inflammatory things going on Twitter or something like that. And yeah, no, I'm just not interested in doing that. I'd like to say my videos so far have been more about the fundamentals or the bigger concepts of certain topics that I talk about. And while that's definitely a thing that you could do for a commentary, it's mainly just a social media aspect, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know, man. I've just had my fill of Instagram and Twitter and all of these algorithms and stuff like that. I don't want that seeping into my longer content as well. I'm not gonna say never if a topic genuinely interests me that much, but I wouldn't count on it. I'll just letting y'all know. Number two, I won't just be planning on doing video essays. For the few that's kept up with my stuff since the beginning, you'd know that I uploaded a Storytime project I did back in high school. And I do plan on uploading at least one more Storytime, mainly because one of my friends will never let me hear the end of it if I don't. I will say I don't plan on Storytimes being the main focus of this channel, I'll tell you that much. And speaking of video essays, number three, I'm not going to be doing video essays forever. In my time of watching YouTubers, I've noticed that most of them go through some type of change within their subject matter. And while this seems super early to establish now, I don't want to make things just talking about stuff, you know what I mean? I love expressing passion for what I love and stuff, and I'll continue to do that until it gets boring or something. But passion is fleeting, you know? I don't think that in 5 years, assuming that I'm still doing this, I'll still be doing video essays mainly. I want to actually be able to just make stuff, you know what I mean? That sounds so vague, but it is what it is. However, that change in video essays won't happen anytime soon. While I can't say what I plan to do exactly, I'll let y'all know whenever I get bored with video essays and make sure I make that transition to whatever I end up doing as clear as possible. And as for the announcement I referred to at the beginning of the video, thank you so much for sticking around in case you watched to this point. I've said in previous videos that I've always wanted to build a tight-knit and solid community, and while seeing the views and sub count go up has been great to see, I want to actually get to know the people in a sense. really to interact with the people willing to stick around. So I decided to create a Discord for the community. This was a while in the making, I'm not gonna lie. My plan is to do VCs, possibly some events, and just to get to know the community a little bit more. So if you're interested in conversing with others and just having a good time, please join the Discord, the link is in the description. So I think that's the end of whatever this was. In this first year, I've managed to get a new mic, a new machine to edit, a community, and more importantly, a lot more clarity on how to improve. Again, thank you so much for an amazing 2023. Hopefully 2024 brings about more blessings and positivity. Happy holidays and happy New Year's to those that celebrate. And if this Discord flops, then blame it all on Trey Sean.